Broducers, it's Özgün here. In this tutorial, I'm gonna make a Melodic Techno rolling bassline, and I'm gonna inspired by the KAS. I don't know how to pronounce the name. So yeah, I'm gonna make a bassline similar to KAS tracks. It's gonna be progressive rolling bassline. So it's kinda trance bassline, but we are not gonna only make the bassline. Also, I'm gonna make the kick with Serum. So we will have a perfect balancing, perfect matching kick and bass. And if you're ready, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, I'm gonna start with the kick. So for that, I'm gonna use a preset from Medix. The reason I'm not using sample but just making the kick drum from a synthesizer is I like to customize the kick. I like to sound more analog. That's why the Serum or the Flex is going to be the best choice. So the preset is like that. It's just generating the kick drum by itself. If I just go and write some MIDI here, I'm gonna make the key A. So let's put LFO tool and span so we can monitor our levels. And yeah, let's see how the kick sounds like now. I'm gonna give it a bit more volume. So it's exactly at the note that we like. That's why making the kicks on a synthesizer, it's kind of good choice if you are searching for more analog sounds. So let's go to its FX. Maybe we can remove reverb and delay. So now we get the kick drum and we can just send it to some channel. Let's call it kick. So now I'm gonna make the kick a bit more distorted. And for that, I'm gonna use the blood overdrive. So while I'm monitoring on the LFO tool, I'm just gonna give it some preamp gain. But first, let's remove the post gain so we don't get clip. Let me give more volume so we can hear it properly. Sounds really nice, but I think we can just tweak it a little bit. So we know our main note is A. So if I just go to the second band, let's say, and go to key and go to A. So I see not the sub, but the first bass note, the fundamental note starting on 110 Hz. So if I just go to that frequency and boost a little bit, I can get more punchy kick drum. Obviously like too loud now. Let's lower the volume a bit. I'm not doing it overly, I'm just boosting a little bit. Maybe we can boost with a narrow band. Don't forget to choose HQ, it's affecting the sound outcome really much. Yeah, probably I like to leave the kick like that. Processing so far. Now we have a really big punchy kick. And the good thing with distorting kicks is they're gonna be sound good even with the creepy speakers. That's a really good benefit to give some saturation overdrive to your kick drum so it can be hearable on all speaker systems easily. Before we go to the bass, I just like to render the kick. So I'm gonna put it like that. Let's save tempo information and let's render it. So we get the one shot of it. Because we render without the inserts, I like to send it back to its channel. So the reason I'm rendering it just to see the waveforms properly. And maybe we can make it smaller and make unique as sample. So we get the one shot, exactly a one shot kick sample. So it will be much more easier for us to, manipulate the waveform, do some small detail edits. So for example, if we like to have a rolling bass line, we should have some space for the bass. So maybe we can just make it smaller like that. So we will have some space for the rolling bass. I'm gonna copy it several times. And yeah, we can leave it like that. Okay, now it's time to make the bass. So for that, let's clone the Serum and send it to next channel. Let's call it rolling. And let's go choose an empty preset. Let's start making the bass. So first thing probably to make the first oscillator down. And in the piano roll, I'm gonna write a rolling bass like that. Maybe longer MIDI. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do to just activate the filter, and let's choose everything, and let's go MG Low 24. And I'm gonna go to the second envelope and make something like that. I'm gonna lower the sustain all the way down, and in the decay, if you write, for example, 1/16 notes, it's gonna automatically making the milliseconds value according to your BPM. So now we get something like that. And now I'm gonna drop this envelope to the filter. But yes, let's use it like that, not that much. And now we get this sound. So I think it's a little bit shorter. And I'm gonna go write 1/8. Now it's more proper. Let's make mono legato. And I'm gonna activate now the second oscillator. And this time we are gonna make it 1 octave down. And let's give it 6 voice, something like that. Now we get a really wide bass line because the second envelope is 6 voice and it's detune. It's 1 octave up, so it's covering the upper harmonics, and while we are getting the main power with the first oscillator. But if you check span, I think we are lacking of a bit of the sub frequencies. Actually, it's acceptable, but I still like to have a sub. Let's put it 2 octave down. So when I activate the sub, it's becoming more sustainable, more stable. And the last thing we can add, a noise. Let me just mute the oscillators for now, just to show you the noise. So I'm gonna do something like that. Let's make the level to 0 and let's connect this LFO to the noise. The shape I'm gonna draw in the LFO is gonna be applied to the noise envelope. And we can just shape the noise. Maybe we can make it so smaller. And let's choose trigger in here. So yeah, we made it really small. And if I now activate the rest of the elements, noise is going to add a really nice texture to the overall sound. It's not going to be that much hearable, but until we have some automation, some macro automation for the bass cutoff, when we open the cutoff, the noise is going to be hearable and gonna add so much to the sound. Now it sounds like this. But if I just connect this first macro to cutoff, and when I open the cutoff, the noise is gonna be hearable. And yeah, now we set up pretty much a perfect rolling bass line. Even now you don't need to use, same note. You can even write bass chords, bass progressions with this rolling beautiful bass line. But we are not gonna stop here. We are gonna process it just a little bit. The first thing I like to put some distortion. Maybe we can go asymmetric one. Yeah, don't need to go 100%. Let's make the mix like 50%. And I'm gonna leave it like that. And also we can add some hyper dimension. Probably let's maybe 10% maximum. Because it's gonna ruin the phase, but if I add it so subtle, it's gonna make my bass line so much wider. Now let's make a proper sidechain for the bass. So I'm gonna click Alt and it's just looking to the grids. And I'm gonna create another dot here. So I'm basically, my rolling bass is like having 4 hits in one beat, right? In one bar actually. So if I just think the LFO tool is representing this area, I don't need any bass in the first hit because I have the full kick in here. But in the second hit, I can have just a little bit bass because my kick is ending in here. And in the last 2 beats, I just have the full bass. So it should sound good now. Let's loop this section. Sounds really nice. Now I like to give it some overdrive. And I'm making the bass volume while checking it with LFO tool in the oscilloscope and trying to match the tail of the kick to the bass notes. And bass notes can be just a little bit smaller, that's fine. But make sure that you are getting the main hit, main punch from the kick. And now we have pretty much done with the kick and bass. Maybe we can test the bass line out of some quick track idea. But let's finalize the kick and bass with grouping them. And let's lock the group. And let's route the kick bass only to the bass. And in the bass, I'm gonna apply some clipping. Let's make the quality full. I'm in hard clip mode. Again, I'm gonna check LFO tool. Just try to maximize the kick and bass as much as I can. And also I like to copy the clipper to the kick. So first let's solo the kick and clip and make the kick a bit more bigger. We could compress it also, but I like how clippers sound. It's more crisp and you can boost it more with clippers. So let's solo the kick first. And now with the boosted kick, we can rebalance them. And then I'm gonna apply a group clipping to them. So maybe we can give a bit more freedom in terms of cutoff filter in the bass. So now we are just finalizing and finding the sweet spot. And yeah, probably it's now good. So this kind of tweaks, this kind of detailed adjustments are just for the starting idea. When you put more elements to the track, when you are building it as a full track, you should always recheck the values. I mean the ADSR settings in the bass and the cutoff settings, and everything should be matching each other in terms of all the elements that you are going to put to the track. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the kick and bass, but I like to test this idea with a full track. So for that, I'm gonna add a vocal sample. So I find this vocal from Splice.
In the dark, you're my only friend.
So let's send it to some empty channel, call it Vox. I'm just gonna quickly process it. So if the sample is B, we should put it 200 cents down. And let's put it to tempo. And I'm gonna put it on stretch. I like to give it some delay and reverb.
In the dark, you're my only friend.
And I'm gonna give it some OTT. So let's put it 20%. I just like to boost every band to make it more hearable.
In the dark, you're my only friend.
And let's quickly sidechain the vocal with LFO tool. Maybe like 60% or something. That should be enough.
In the dark.
And lastly, I'm gonna cut the low frequencies.
In the dark, you're my only friend. In the dark, you're my only friend. The only one.
Okay, the vibe is really nice. Let's quickly put some drums to the project. Probably we can put some clipper to the master to not get clip, and also we can just boost it a little bit. And I'm gonna put this top loop. So let's first fit it to BPM, and maybe we can send it to some channel. Let's call it top loop, and all I'm gonna do is just cut the low frequencies. And I have this loop, it's also another top loop. Let's do the same. Put it to tempo. I'm gonna just send it to same channel with the other top loop. But let's go to pre-computed FX and make the stereo delay a little bit more. If you go check in multi-channel, you can see the stereo delay is just shifting the left and right speakers. So you don't need to put the Haas effect or copy the sample or do some processing on the mixer. You can just do it on this knob. It's really useful. Let's put it maybe 50% or something. So we get a really wide loop right now. That's why I'm gonna put it a little bit of less volume. And let's test it with the track. It's just a quick processing. I'm gonna finalize and we will take a final listen. But I like to do just a small fill here to cut the bass. Before we end the video, probably we should automate this macro as well. And let's create an automation clip for that. And let's do it something like that. And maybe we can do the same when the vocal is coming, first starting. Maybe like that. Maybe we can do the movement a bit longer. I just like to lower the distortion. Sometimes it was like overlapping itself. I'm creating some annoying artifact. So let's rebalance it according to it. So it's still clipping and creating the annoying distortion artifact. Maybe I can put the OTT. Yeah, now with the OTT just 20% of compression, so we get rid of the annoying artifacts. And now I think we can make a listen how the full arrangement sounds like. So yeah guys, it's how it sounds. I'm really satisfied with it. So we just create our bassline from a patch, Serum patch. The reason behind this to be more accurate, to be able to write the notes that we like and to shape it more clearly, more easily. And then the other important thing, don't forget to make the sidechain by manually like that. If you just draw your own curve for every individual note, like in this example, you can make full stable basslines, and this is really important. And it sounds really analog because we keep the processing so simple. We just put some overdrive in here and we give the asymmetric distortion, but not in full power. And this is how it sounds in the full track idea that I just quickly made for you. I hope you can get inspired from it and apply this to your own productions, guys. See you on the next video. Bye bye.